Did Cain marry his sister? What if I told you the Bible never hides who Cain married? The answer is right there in Genesis, and when you see it, it will shock you, because this one truth explains the origin of all human families on earth. Stick with me. Let's go back to the very beginning. The book of Genesis, chapters 1 and 2, details the creation. God created the first man, Adam, and the first woman, Eve. Genesis 3:20 is very clear. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Notice that wording carefully. Eve was the mother of all living, not some, all. This means every single human being who has ever existed came from Adam and Eve. Every race, every nation, every tribe, and every person. That includes Cain. So, in Genesis chapter 4, we read, And Adam knew Eve, his wife. 18, she conceived and bare Cain. Here, we meet their firstborn son, Cain. And a little later, and she again bare his brother Abel. So, we know Adam and Eve had at least 2 sons. Here, as a critical detail many people miss, the Bible reveals they had many more children. It says, In the days of Adam, after he had begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. This is the key to the entire mystery. Adam didn't just have Cain, Abel, and Seth. He had other sons and daughters, many daughters. Not just Eve, but many other women were now on the earth. All daughters of Adam and Eve. And here's the shocking truth. One of those daughters became Cain's wife. The Bible proves it. Think about the timeline. After Cain tragically killed his brother Abel, God punished him, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord. And then Genesis 4:17 says, And Cain knew his wife. She conceived. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the Bible mentions Cain's wife. Where did she come from? At this point in history, the only people on earth were Adam, Eve, Cain, and their other children. So Cain's wife could only be his sister, or perhaps a niece. There were no other humans. Why? Because, as we've established, all humans came from Adam and Eve. The Bible never mentions another separate creation of humans. Only Adam and Eve. Acts 17:26 confirms this, saying, God hath made of one blood all nations of men. One blood, one family, one origin. There was no second creation, no other race of people running around. There was only Adam's family. Now, this brings up a big question. Today, marrying a sister is considered a sin and is forbidden. But it's crucial to understand that in the very beginning, it was not. God had not yet given the law against it. That law came much, much later through Moses. In Leviticus 18, God commands the nakedness of thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover. But this was given thousands of years after Cain's time. In the early days of humanity, there was a different command in place. God had commanded humanity to multiply. Genesis 1:28 says, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Humanity had to grow from just one family. The only possible way for this to happen was through Adam's children marrying each other. At that specific time in history, it was necessary and therefore not sinful. Consider the incredible lifespans of these early humans. Genesis 5:5 tells us, And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years. Imagine that. For 930 years, Adam and Eve were having children. They could have had dozens, maybe even hundreds of children over that time. The human population would have grown very quickly. Cain would have had many sisters and nieces to choose from as a wife. But this reveals something even more shocking. The Bible also shows us why God later banned these marriages. And the reason is fascinating. In the beginning, human DNA was perfect. It was a direct creation from God, with no genetic mutations or defects. However, as sin entered the world in generations past, corruption began to set in. Genesis 6 says, All flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. As genetic errors accumulated over centuries, God gave laws, including marriage laws, to protect humanity from the increasing risk of birth defects that come from marrying close relatives. Now, let's look at another piece of evidence. When God confronted Cain about his sin, Cain replied in fear, saying, everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Who were these everyone he was afraid of? They were his own relatives, the other children of Adam and Eve, his brothers, sisters, nephews, and nieces. Humanity was already growing into a larger population, and it gets even clearer. The very next verse, Genesis 4:17, says that Cain went on and builded a city. You cannot build a city by yourself. You can't even build it with just a wife and a few kids. Building a city requires a significant population of people to construct it and live in it. This is powerful proof that humanity was already multiplying through Adam's family. This isn't some new, modern interpretation either. Ancient Jewish historians like Flavius Josephus, who wrote around the time of the apostles, also recorded this understanding. Josephus wrote that his historical sources said Adam and Eve had 33 sons and 23 daughters. This confirms the biblical teaching that Adam and Eve had a large family. The Bible is honest. It doesn't shy away from difficult or uncomfortable truths. The fact is, Cain married his sister, or a very close relative. It's the only conclusion that fits the biblical narrative that all humanity has a single origin in Adam and Eve. Beyond the historical facts, this story teaches a profound spiritual lesson. Sin destroys families. Cain's jealousy led him to murder his own brother, bringing death and separation into the first family. Yet, even in the face of this terrible sin, God showed mercy and allowed humanity to continue. But one final mystery remains. Why did God protect Cain? And what was the famous mark of Cain? After Cain expressed his fear, Genesis 4:15 says, "The Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him." God protected a murderer. This is a stunning display of mercy, showing that God's grace can extend even to the worst of sinners. So, did Cain marry his sister? The answer, based on the clear evidence in the Bible, is yes. It's the only logical conclusion, because all humans came from Adam and Eve. They had many sons and daughters. There were no other people, and God had not yet forbidden it. In fact, it was necessary for humanity to obey God's command to multiply. We are all one family, from Adam, from Eve, from one blood. And understanding this truth shows just how deeply connected all of humanity really is. Thank you for watching.